So, listeners, viewers, funny when people talk about transparency and making full disclosure, and it appears as if that only happens to, meaning that is only expected of politicians or circumstances where politicians find themselves in a spot of bother. So people say, we want full disclosure, want to know the names, want to know who, for reasons that the public doesn't know yet. Several things in the Auditor General's performance audit ensuring value for money in public health procurement at the UWI. Several things are unclear because we don't know who directly is responsible or party to some of the breaches that the Auditor General flagged in the report prepared by her team. And politics time is a hell of a time because people are conditioned more than at any other time to demand transparency, to demand full disclosure. If this report had dropped in politics time, every day people be asking, demanding, are the principals of private company 1, private company 2, private company 3, private company 4? Who are these individuals? Meaning the 4 companies that the report says benefit from the UWI's abuse of its tax-exempt status. Same report drops now. Nobody don't really ask. I mean, we are doing our journalism and keeping the light shone brightly on the issue. But it's almost as if there's no appetite to know who the principals are. And so, as I said, the public does not yet know who the companies are that benefited from the UWI's abuse of that tax exemption status. And I'd like to know from the Auditor General's Department, the reasons for withholding the naming of the company when it is that what they're accused of being party to is out in the public domain. Why not name, why not identify them? It may be a very good reason. There may be a very good reason to withhold this information. But I'd like to know on what basis that is being withheld. The other thing is this, and related to the same matter. If we step back from the issues raised in the audit report, we will find that the real question we should be asking is there in black and white. The report says that the UWI, and I'm coming to the issue of the contracts that there are no procurement documents for, fret not. The report says that the UWI used its status as an entity which does not have to pay tax. In 2003, 2004, under the leadership when the finance minister was led by Dr. Omar Davis, he went to Parliament and indicated that the government would be changing the law to remove tax-exempt status from several government entities that enjoyed the privilege, and that the removal of that privilege, tax-exempt status, from several state agencies, including Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission, Jamaica Racing Commission, to name but 2, that would bring $600 million back into the government's coffers in revenue in the 2003-2004 fiscal year. So tax-exempt status is a big thing. The state entities benefit from it, or state-related entities, to get the things into the country that they need to carry on their operations and not have to be burdened by a payment to the taxman, or in this case, a taxwoman, Favour Williams, Minister of Finance. So it is a real privilege, and it's real money around it. So if you have that status, you ought to protect the status, to preserve the status, and to use it for what it is intended. Now, the UWI used, the Auditor General says, this status to buy things for private individuals. That's exactly what happened. The only thing is that the UHWI didn't do it. Follow me now. The UHWI did not do this thing. It was somebody at the UHWI who did it. It was some officer, some official with the authority to authorize the documents who did this thing, not the hospital itself. So it's either one individual or a group of individuals who came together with the principals of the private company involved and the private companies involved and decided to do this thing. So if the Auditor General has not named the private companies, so we could start drawing lines and making connections, what hope are we to have that the Howard Mitchell-led team, which has been brought in to look into these matters, and the Patrick Hilton-led board, which is tasked with cleaning up, what hope are we to have that they will name the individuals who signed the requisite documents for the UHWI's tax-exempt status to be used for the benefit of private individuals? That's really what we're facing this morning. And that's what we need to know, who the people are. People who work in the public sector often get away because when problems occur, the way that people honed cabinet ministers, honed politicians, nobody hones these people any at all. And people revel, some of us, in seeing politicians being honed. Minister this, minister that, permanent secretary here, this, that. But the people who work in management and who work at the board level always, head below the parapet, escaping bullets, not catching strays. And we protect them, But we always bawl for the blood of minister this, minister that. And minister's time will come. That time will come, fret not. But for right now, who was on the board of the UHWI when these things happened? 2019-2020 fiscal year to 2024-25 fiscal year. That's the period that the Auditor General's report covered. Who was leading at the time? Whose decision was it to abuse the UHWI's tax-exempt status? Who signed the documents? And who knew that the documents were signed and knew that signing the documents to buy things for your private friends in private business was wrong? Who did that? And if the Auditor General is not helping us to fill in the blanks, who will tell us? That's the question this morning. What I do know is who populated the management team of the UHWI over the period that the Auditor General spoke to in her report. Fitzgerald Mitchell was the CEO. And many people don't know about Fitzgerald Mitchell. Fitzgerald Mitchell was appointed CEO of the UHWI in 2024. But don't believe that he was new. He had been acting for 2 years prior to being appointed full-time. And Fitzgerald Mitchell was with the UHWI for 27 years, serving the organization in various management positions within the organization. It is said here that Fitzgerald Mitchell was CEO of the Nuclear Medicine Unit. He holds a Master of Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts in History, Diploma in Institutional Management from UTech, as well as postgraduate certificate in Managing Healthcare Delivery from Harvard University. Under Mitchell's leadership, we're told UHWI implemented wide-reaching modernization initiatives, including the digitization of hospital operations and the strategic acquisition of advanced diagnostic equipment. We are told that he oversaw the reinstatement and expansion of nuclear medicine services at UHWI and worked closely with international and regional partners to improve access to high-quality radiation services. That's Fitzgerald Mitchell. That's the CEO of the UHWI, who's on 3 months leave to 3 months leave to clear the deck so that investigations can run their course, including one by the police fraud squad. Who supported him on the senior management of the UHWI? Helena Thompson, Senior Director of Nursing. Dr. Carl Bruce, Medical Chief of Staff. Dwayne Nelson, Senior Director, Corporate Social Responsibility. Dwight McLeish, Chief Audit Executive. Latoya Miller, Acting Senior Director, Human Resource Management and Development. Donna Harilal, Senior Director, Information Communication Technology. Ainsworth Buckridge, Senior Director, Information Digitization Specialist. Angela Curtis Cox, Senior Director, Strategic Planning, Performance and Project Management. Wayne Robbins, Major Wayne Robbins, Senior Director, Operations and Facilities. Miss Valasha Dover, Acting Senior Director in charge of Finance. All of those individuals, part of Fitzgerald Mitchell's management team at the UHWI. The board of the UHWI now. Remember, in December 2023, Tufton announced that the board had been dissolved because of personality clashes involving the chairman, Wayne Chai-Chung, and Dr. Andre Foote, the deputy chairman, and that Patrick Hilton and Dwayne DeAndre Cox would replace those two on the UHWI board. So, Joanna Banks, Dr. Merton Smith, Dr. Horace Fletcher, Donovan Betancourt, Dr. Ronald Robinson, Roger Anderson, Professor Joseph Plummer, Professor John Linder, Dr. Dawn Monroe, Catherine Parks Thwaites, plus ex officio board members covering the period 2022 to 2025, Andrea McNeish, Professor Dale Weber, Dr. Jacqueline Miss Acer McKenzie, Miss Hope Blake, Professor Minerva Thame. All of the names I just mentioned were either part of the UHWI board in the period covered by the Auditor General's report, or part of senior management at the UHWI in the period covered by the Auditor General's report. So therefore, how many of that number, or how many of those individuals knew what was happening where the absence of procurement documents for $521 million in contracts was concerned? Who knew that this was happening? Who knew too that the UHWI inappropriately, well, the UHWI could not provide procurement documentation for 51 contracts valuing $521 million. Who knew that the UHWI frequently initiated the procurement process after goods or services had already been delivered or works completed? And who knew that the UHWI conducted 2 purchases through its private wing, thereby bypassing standard procurement procedures? And who knew that the UHWI did not follow required procurement procedures for hiring consultants and other service providers? All of the management team, the individuals I just mentioned, all of the board members, the individuals I just mentioned, which of you knew that all of this was happening, and what did you do? And then, will the Patrick Hilton board tell us who was ultimately responsible for all of this? And will the Auditor General tell us why she has chosen to not name the private companies who were party to the UHWI abusing its tax-exempt status to buy things for private people to then make profits? Because that is exactly what happened here. We wait for answers.